Welcome, everyone. I'm Larissa, a staff scientist with Science North, and this is part 3 of A Guide to Your Immune System. If you haven't had a chance, please check out parts 1 and 2. You can access these programs through our website at Science North. Give vaccines a shot. Today, we are going to have a quiz competition to test your current knowledge about the immune system and how vaccines work with your immune system. Science North has received funding from the Public Health Agency of Canada to help increase confidence in vaccines. And we have a campaign which we've called Give Vaccines a Shot. And we are offering school programs for you to learn about your immune system, staying healthy, and the important role that vaccines play in good public health strategies. I would like to acknowledge that I am presenting near Science North in Sudbury, Ontario. Science North and Dynamic Earth are situated on the traditional and ancestral lands of Atitmishing, Anishinaabeg, and Wahnapitae First Nations in Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory. We give thanks to the Indigenous people who have cared for this land since time immemorial and pay respect to their traditions, ways of knowing, and acknowledge their many contributions to innovations in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, past and present. We also recognize the Métis Nation of Ontario for their historic and ongoing contributions. We commit to deepening engagement, relationships, and partnerships to advance truth and reconciliation, honor and reflect Indigenous ways of knowing, grow economic opportunities, and collaborate with Indigenous peoples as partners to inspire all people to be engaged with science in the world around them. Please take the time to reflect and recognize the lands where you are located. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and I am going to advance to the code here. So because this is for the younger grades, my recommendation is that teachers can use a second device. And what you can do is you can put this, you go to Menti, www.menti.com and enter the code, or you can scan the QR code that you see right here. If you do have your individual students that are participating, they can use whatever device they have to do this as well. But if you are doing this as a class, you can, when we get into the game, you can select like a class name that will help do this. We are going to be there'll be timed questions, and you'll know that which questions are part of the quiz because there will be a countdown, and there are some questions that are not actually part of the quiz. And as there could be many viewers happening at the same time, and there's also a little bit of a delay between the presentation that you're seeing through YouTube and the actual Mentimeter thing that you're working with, I would ask everyone to be patient. We are having this as a quiz competition, which means that whoever wins at the end of this, you will get a screen that says that you were the winner. And the way that you can claim the prize would be you would take a screenshot of that winning, the winning page, and then you will email it to us at vaccines@sciencenorth.ca. I think Bennett will be able to put it in there so you can that you can see what it is. If you have any questions for me or answers while I'm presenting here, you can put them into the YouTube commentary. And also, if you are interested in booking us for something more one-on-one or with your school for like an Ask a Scientist session later on before the end of school, you can also send a request through that at that same email address. The other thing that I'd like to remind everybody is that we are online with lots of other people, and I would like everyone to be respectful. I'm here to teach you about the science of the immune system and how the science of vaccines work and how they protect us from germs. And we're here to have a little bit of fun. All right, so let's see. We're going to move to the next slide. So what you should see on your device is you should be seeing a map. And what you can do is you can pin where you are on the map, and this will sort of give us an indication as to where you are. Awesome. We've got some people all the way out past Thunder Bay. That's awesome. And in Toronto. Fantastic. So you probably are noticing that the stuff you're seeing on your phone or seeing on the second devices might be happening a little bit faster than what you're seeing on the YouTube. And I do apologize with the delay, but this is the nature of what's happening. I have created sort of a long enough time period that when we answer the question, you should have enough time to answer it. One important thing, I'm going to read through the questions and the answers, and it's important that you read through them as well and sort of poll your class to see what they think it is. And also, the other thing that's really important is that you understand that more points will be awarded to the correct answer that happens first. All right, so this is where you get a chance to put in your username. So you should be able to put in a username here at this point. And I'm going to start the countdown because the first question is going to ask you if you got a chance to put in your username. So this one is just a sort of, it's basically a giveaway question so that you can get a chance to answer whether or not you did get a chance to put in your username. If you didn't, that's okay. It will randomly select a username. You will have your class or your individual person who's working on this will have your own username. So if you can vote and say whether or not you got on there. Oh. And there we go. So some people said yes, some people said no, but that's fine. As long as you see which one you are, you should be fine. All right. This question is just a poll. It's not part of the assessment. It's just asking, have you ever been sick before? And I imagine that most of you should be answering yes. I'm a little bit older than the students, so I definitely have been sick before. But even if you're in grade 2 or 3, I would assume that you've probably been sick before, especially if you've been at school or if you've been in a daycare or some sort of situation, right? So we've all experienced getting infected with something, either a bacteria or a virus. And depending on how strong or how fast our immune system worked, it might not have been that bad, and maybe it was. Maybe we had to stay home from school. All right, so here's the first real question of our quiz. So, and remember, the faster you answer, the more points you get. What do we call the things that make us sick? Do we call them germs? Do we call them bacteria? Do we call them viruses? Or do we call them all of these things? Now, it's important. There's only one right answer. So you might want to take a look at all of these answers here to see which one it is. And whichever one you pick will determine whether or not you're going to get votes. And yes, so if you did pick germs and you did pick viruses, that's okay because those are correct answers as well. But really, we call all of these things can make us sick. So germs is a general term for it. Viruses and bacteria are more specific. And this isn't even all of the things that can make us sick. There are actually quite a few categories of things that can make us sick. There are things like fungi, right? So mushrooms fall into that category. If you've ever heard of athlete's foot, when people go swimming, they say wear flip-flops so you don't catch the stuff that's on the ground. So there's some fungi that can make you sick. And then there's also some single-celled organisms. So malaria is caused by a single-celled organism that can infect your cells, and other bigger parasites as well too. All right. Question number 3. And this question is, what can stop germs from making us sick? So we'll look through all the answers first. So does hand washing stop us from getting sick? Does doing jumping jacks stop us from getting sick? What about taking a nap? Does that stop us from getting sick? Which one do you think is the most important of these 3 things that would stop us from getting sick? And we're waiting, got 30 seconds. Whoa. Let's see. And most of you answer washing your hands. And although taking a nap might actually help you out a little bit, rest is good, and getting a good getting some exercise is really good. Washing your hands is really, really important to stopping you from getting infected. And so when you wash your hands with soap, you've removed the germs from your hands, and it's really good at getting rid of bacteria and getting rid of viruses that might be on your hands. So you always wash your hands after you go to the washroom, before you eat, before you're going to do something where you're going to put your hands to your mouth. Really good idea. Another thing, which I didn't talk about, is wearing a mask, especially when there's respiratory viruses out there. So this might become something that we do during flu season now, because I didn't get the flu this year because I was wearing my mask. And so this might become something in our area that we start to do. There were other areas that did this, mostly in Asia. You would often see people wearing masks during sick times. So this might be another way of doing it. All right, now we have another question coming up. And this one is also asking, what is another way to stop germs from making us sick? So look at your phone or look at your other device. So eating too much ice cream, vaccines, or going for a hike in nature. Which one do you think is another way of stopping germs from making us get too sick? I know which one I would like to be the truth, but it's probably not the case. Yes. All right. Didn't fool everyone on that one. So definitely getting vaccinated is a very important. So as I mentioned before, exercise is really good at preventing you from getting sick and keeping you healthy. Eating too much ice cream, unfortunately, is not the solution, but vaccines are really cool because they are a way of preventing us from getting really, really sick, because they're going to prepare our bodies from doing with the germ. All right, let's take a look at the leaderboard. We're going to see who's in the lead here. And it looks like Leo is in the lead, fastest. Grade 2 T-Bay, you're pretty close as well too. All right. Question number 5. This one might be a little bit of a challenge, but I think that you're up for the challenge here. So this question is asking, when was the first vaccine developed? So when do you think, like, of all vaccines? So over 200 years ago, so that was quite a long time ago, about 50 years ago, or last year, when do you think that the first vaccine was developed? And this is this might be something that we know. This might not be. Maybe the teachers know this one and they can help out. Oh, look at that. So 3 people got it right and said over 200 years ago. So the really cool thing is that the first vaccine was developed in 1798 by Dr. Edward Jenner. And he was trying to figure out how to stop people getting infected with a disease called smallpox. And you're probably wondering why I have a picture of a cow here. I have a picture of a cow here because there was a virus called cowpox, and the name of cowpox is vaccinia. And he noticed that milkmaids that had gotten cowpox didn't get smallpox, or if they did, they didn't get really sick from getting smallpox. And so cowpox was related to smallpox, and and if you caught it, it meant that you didn't get sick with smallpox. And so vaccinia was the name of this virus, this disease, and it came from cows. And so vaccine actually is derived from that. So vaccine means it comes from cows, and that's why I have a picture of a cow here. And so they used this vaccine. So the first vaccine was developed over 200 years ago, which is pretty cool. Before they did that, they actually used to take, this is kind of gross, but they used to take the scabs of old people and like crush them up and like blow them on people. But that's it. What does a vaccine do? So this is an interesting question. What do you think it does? Does a vaccine make you sick? Does it protect you from infection and disease? Or does it turn you into a superhero, kind of like Captain America? Is it like a secret serum that it's going to turn you into a superhero? What do you think? What does a vaccine do? And if you think about how we answered the questions before, you might be able to figure out what the right answer is for this one. Good job, right? So it protects you from diseases, it protects you from infection, and it protects you from getting really, really sick. So my next question is, what do you think is the active ingredient? What is in a vaccine? So if it protects us from getting diseases and protects us from getting really, really sick, what did they put in there? And if you think about what I talked about with the cowpox there, so is there like an infectious virus in there? Is there something that looks like the germ but isn't quite the germ? Or is there a fungus in there? What do we think? So think about this. We'll be giving people vaccines because we don't want them to get sick. We want to make sure that they don't get sick from the disease. So we want maybe to sort of fool our body into thinking that it's there. So what do you think is actually in there? And so that is a good guess, to thinking that there might be a virus in there. But what there actually is if there is a virus, it's not a real virus. Or if it is, it's a virus that's been weakened so much that it actually won't hurt you. Or if it's a bacteria, it's like parts of a bacteria. So you can see here, there's a picture of a bacterium. Here's a picture of a virus. And on the outside are these things. These are called antigens. And I don't know if you've heard this term before. You might have heard this term before. But antigen is basically a molecule, it's a particle, it's a protein that's on the outside of germs. And our immune system recognizes these as not being part of our body, and they fight them. And so when we have vaccines, what we do is we either take parts of the germ and we put them into the vaccine, or if we do actually take the virus or the bacterium, we make sure that it can't infect us anymore. So we make a very weakened version of it, or we actually kill the virus when we put it in there. And then what happens is that our immune system is going to recognize this and make a response to that without that pathogen, that germ, getting in and infecting our cells. And so our body will basically get a practice run at fighting this germ, so that when the real germ actually comes into our body, we can actually fight it. All right, let's take a look and see who's in. If we've had a little bit of a change of what's going on here, it looks like we might have. Oh, look at that! Grade 2, T-Bay, you are in the lead. Awesome, with 5,007 points. That's fantastic. All right, question number 8. This one is interesting. So you need to, don't answer too quickly on this one. This one is asking, what are some side effects of vaccines? So what are some side effects? Sore arm, fever, slight headache, no side effects, or any of these? Do you think any of these might be possible? So take a gander at trying to figure out what the answer might be here. And if you've had a vaccine, maybe you know what the answer is. So some of you might have different experiences than other people. And looks like most groups who are voting here voted for all of these things being possible. And that's true. So we'll take a look at this picture here. Some side effects could be a sore arm because you are getting a needle, and a needle is going into your skin and it might hurt. Another thing is that you might get swollen lymph nodes, because the lymph nodes are where all of your immune cells are, and they're the ones that are making the cells that are going to fight the germ. You might feel a little tired or have a headache. You might have a slight fever and chills. You might be a little bit sore. And in fact, if your arm is sore, the recommendation is to move it around and not just leave it there, because it'll stay. There are odds sometimes you might not feel the best, but honestly, from all of the vaccines that have been given to, especially to children, the most common side effect is actually no side effect at all. And if you do get a little bit of side effects, it might be just sort of a couple of days of that. And what that is actually your immune system ramping up. So a lot of times when we get sick, it's not the germ that's making us sick, it's our immune system fighting the germ that's making us sick. But if the germ stays in our body for a long enough time and it's managed to infect our cells, then that's going to do some damage. And that's why we want a vaccine. We want a vaccine so that our body is ready to fight when the actual germ comes in, and then it won't be able to get into our cells. Or if it does, it gets into a few of our cells and doesn't do it as long. But like I said, even if you don't have side effects, that doesn't mean that the vaccine didn't work. All right, question number 9. This might be a tough one, but I think that we're up to the task. And so question number 9 is going to be asking about which body system protects us from germs. So do you think it's the nervous system? Is it the digestive system, or is it the immune system? And you might have heard me use some terms during this quiz. And so that might be a clue as to which system is actually going to help you fight. So if you've been listening, you've probably heard me use a certain term, and it might help you figure out which one is the actual answer to this question. And yep, most of you got this one as well too. It is the immune system. So like I said, I have been mentioning the immune system. So this is a diagram here. You can see the thymus is an organ of the immune system. The spleen, it sort of sits on top of the stomach. You can't see the stomach in this picture. And then you can see that all of these sort of green things here, these are your lymph nodes. And so the lymph nodes are actually located all around. And so if you've had a vaccine, or if you're sick, sometimes you might have swollen glands in your armpits, or you might have swollen glands in your neck, because those are from the lymph nodes. And then the other really important part of your immune system is your bone marrow. That's where all of your immune cells are made. And so what happens is that your immune system is made up of all of these organs and tissues and cells. So I'm going to show you a little picture of what a cell is. Cells are the basic unit of life, and they make up the human body. They make up other living organisms, right? And so our immune system is mostly made up of cells. We have organs, but our immune system is mostly made up of cells, and cells are super important. And this is the reason why I'm telling you this is because the next question is going to ask you, how do you think the immune system fights germs? And cells are really, really important part of this. All right, so question number 10. This is a tough one. So how does the immune system protect us? Remember, we need to read through all the answers first before we do this. So do our immune cells eat germs? Do the immune cells kill our sick and infected cells? Do the immune cells remember that the germs that invaded us? Or do the immune cells work as walls? Or is it all of these things? What do you think our immune cells do to protect us from germs? And this is one of the coolest things that I think about the immune system. So, yep. And if you did guess that they act like walls, you are correct. So our immune system is pretty fantastic. It does, like, this is just a picture of some of the cells that are involved. But the things that act like walls, our skin cells are part of the immune system. So our skin cells act like a wall. They're a barrier. They stop things from coming in. And there are some cells that actually swallow up other cells. They're called phagocytes. They eat other cells, so they eat the germs. There are some cells called killer T cells and natural killer cells that will actually kill our infected cells. And there are memory cells that will actually go and remember when a germ comes back in. So if you didn't, if you got sick with something and then the germ came back again, you probably wouldn't get sick again. And this is how vaccines work. Vaccines sort of make your body think that you got sick. And so that when you get actually sick with the germ, your body's like, well, I've already been sick with this, and it remembers it. And it remembers with things that are called antibodies. And those are also made by cells in your immune system, which is really cool. All right. This one is sort of a numbers game. It's a good one. How many diseases are we normally vaccinated against? So when you're a little kid, when you're a baby, you get vaccinated against quite a few things. And then you get vaccinated against other things as you get older. So is it 5? Is it 11? Or is it 14? How many diseases do you think that we're routinely vaccinated against? And it's surprising. And in fact, a lot of these things we don't really hear about anymore just because we have been regularly vaccinating against them. And actually, it is 14. So the list of things that we are getting vaccinated against is things like diphtheria and tetanus, which are bacterial infections, whooping cough, polio, rotavirus now is something that you can be vaccinated against. So rotavirus is a stomach virus, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, and also as you get older, you might get other like pneumococcal and meningococcal. Those again are bacterial things as well too. And oh, measles. I didn't mention measles. Measles is really important. I think maybe I did, but measles is a really important thing to do because measles actually can, if you get infected with measles, it makes your immune system forget that you had immunity against other things. So you don't want to get infected with measles. So that's really important. And then finally, this is a really interesting question, and you may or may not be able to get this one. So this is asking, which disease do you think that your parents had, but you probably won't? And this would be different for the teachers maybe, but this is for the kids. So which one do you think? Do you think your parents had measles or chickenpox or whooping cough? And which one of these 3 do you think you probably won't get? So think about this. There's a vaccine that probably happened after you were born, but before your parents were born, and they probably didn't get this one. So which one do you think it is? Let's see. Oh, we got sort of a smattering of all 3 answers being there, but the right answer is chickenpox. So depending on how old your parents are, they might have been vaccinated with chickenpox, but probably not. I was not vaccinated with chickenpox, but my children were, and I got chickenpox. And because I actually got chickenpox when I was a little bit later on, I was between having my daughter and my son. My immune system, I was tired, and I ended up getting shingles. So that wasn't great because when you get chickenpox, it stays in your body and then it can reemerge as a different disease. And so if you've been vaccinated against chickenpox, the odds are that you probably won't have to worry about getting shingles later on in life. And so that is super cool. We used to have chickenpox parties. So if one kid got chickenpox, all the parents would bring all of the kids there so that everybody else would get it. Because when you get chickenpox later on in life, it actually ends up becoming more severe. And so they didn't want people to have it when they were older. And so that's what they did. But now that there's a vaccine, we don't have to do that. All right. So this is the moment of truth. We get to figure out which of you has won. I will actually write this down and make note of it. Cool boy 86. All right. So if this is a separate, if this is a student part of a class, ideally, what I would like for you to do is have your teacher take a shot of this. And then the other, and so take a screenshot of this, and then you can email this to vaccines@sciencenorth.ca. With the school name and the grade name as well too, and we will send you a code on how to claim the prize for winning this. So that is really super cool. Now, before we leave, I do have a question. This is a poll question, so please don't leave just yet. Did you learn something new today? So yes or no if you learned something new today. And then as the next question is going to ask if you have the opportunity to actually write down if you wanted to write something. So if you have not had access to our previous lessons for this age group, you can always go to our website, sciencenorth.ca/give-vaccines-a-shot. If you scroll down, you can see that there are school programs part 1, school programs part 2, and then there will be this school programs as well too. We do have post activities as well. And I'm just going to give you the chance to write down if you learned something new today. So if there's something new that you never knew about vaccines or about the immune system, you can type this down. That would be great. And then the other thing that I wanted to promote is a website called Kids Boost Immunity. And so Kids Boost Immunity is pretty cool because they're based out of British Columbia, and what they do is they actually have, and so it's a little bit older for this grade, but there are some activities that you might be able to work for grades 2 to 3. It's there's free lesson plans available for grades 4 to 12, and they cover many different subjects. And the teachers register a class, and for every quiz that the students complete, the Kids Boost Vaccines, Kids Boost Immunity will actually donate vaccines to people in need. So any number of vaccines, because there's so many vaccines out there that we are doing. And so that is awesome. I love that people are learning all of these new things. Fantastic. And I will show you the Kids Boost Immunity logo. And so if you just type in Kids Boost Immunity, it will give you the web page, and you will be able to sign up. And it's available in French as well too. And they're little quizzes. Teachers, you don't get points for doing this, but if your students that you've registered as your class complete the quizzes, then you earn points, and you can actually see all of the classes that have been involved. All right, I'm just going to stop sharing for a bit. And so just to finish off, if you have any questions for us that you would like to send to us, please send them to vaccines@sciencenorth.ca. If you would like to book an Ask a Scientist, we are available as well. And finally, the views expressed in this program do not necessarily represent the views of Public Health Agency of Canada, but we are here to help you out. So if you want to meet with us again, or if you have any questions or any comments, we are welcoming it. You will see also in the comment that Bennett has put down a link to the survey. So teachers, please fill out the survey. It just helps us figure out if this was a good way to engage students and engage the class. And if you have any suggestions on other ways that we can engage with you, that would be great as well. So thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you have a great rest of the week.